Hello everyone, welcome back again. My name is Jesse, and in this wonderful tutorial, we're trying to see how to build a very simple app with Streamlit, right? So we'll be building a face detection app with Streamlit and an OpenCV. So this is going to be a very simple app. We will not be building a face recognition. We may do that later. This is just for face detection. Now let's see what it can offer us. So if I come back to the same place that I have, I can also check on the detection aspect, and I can do some other interesting stuff, right? So let's drag in an image. I can upload an image, or I can browse and then put in an image. So we have several images here. So let's first of all try something like Nikola Tesla. Or let's use Mitchell. So Mitchell is the founder of HashiCorp, a very nice company. So it's going to load the original image here. Then I can do some interesting stuff. So I can get the original image. I can convert it to black and white. That is grayscale. Very interesting. I can also do a contrast of this particular image. Then here I can change the contrast up and down. Right, so that it's changing the contrast here. Very interesting. I can also check for the brightness and then modify the brightness of our image, doing the same thing up and down. Then it's going to change the brightness. Wow. Then I can also come back to the blurring. I can also blur the entire image as I wish it to be, right? As many as I wish it to be. Perfect. Then the final stuff we can also do is that we can also come back to the feature, right? To be able to find features. So in case I go on the faces, I can select only face. So if there is any face, there's going to identify the face. Perfect. Cool, right? Just able to identify the face with a red rectangle on it. That's going to tell us that it's found only one face. Then I can also check for the smiles or the eyes. So it's going to analyze it. I click on process. It's going to analyze this particular image and then give us the number of eyes, right? So 2 eyes, of course, everybody has 2 eyes. Then the next one, you can also canize it, convert it to black, right? And click on process. Then it's going to convert it to black like this. That is getting the canny option. Then you can also cartoonize it. Very interesting. So if I click on process, I can be able to process it perfectly, right? That is something very easy and something very basic. So let's try with another image. So I'll be trying with my own image, of course. Then I just go to this. Then we can actually do the same thing that we did. So we can blur it up. We can get the original image. This is me. And then you can also check for the number of, you can cartoonize it, check for the faces and all of those stuff. So if I go with cartoonize or process, it's going to cartoonize and convert this particular image into a cartoon format. Very nice. Then let's try it with multiple images, right? So I just come back to this place. Then I'll browse. Then let's use Team Streamlit. Very interesting and a very awesome company. So this is it, right? So this is Team Streamlit. So this Adrian, this is TC. Very nice. So now you can also check for some interesting stuff. You can do the grayscale, process it, and this is a very big image. So it's going to convert it to a grayscale, black and white. Then you can also do contrast. Very interesting. So all of these things we can do. Then we can also go for the face detection, select all the faces inside it. Then you can process them. So if I come back down here and I go with process, it's going to process all the faces that I have there. So it's going to take some time. Wow. So we see that if I check it here, these are all the faces, right? Perfect. Even including those that were wearing spectacles. Very, very nice. I can also come back here. Then let's go back to the eyes. You can also check for all the eyes there. Then let's move it to here, original eyes, then process. So we're going to process this and find all the eyes, or all the eyeses. So process is going to find all the eyes there. So let's go with eyes rather. Process it. Perfect, right? So it's going to give us all of them. So that's what we'll be trying to build in this tutorial. So it's able to find only one eye. The rest it cannot find them very well. That is something cool. So let's see how to build this entire app from scratch. And you can even check with the number of people inside this using the faces, right? If I go with this and I process it, it's going to count the number of people within our picture or image. So if I come down here, it has identified them, found 6 faces. Very interesting. So let's see how to build this app from scratch. So I'll just set up the place. Perfect. So first I'll come back to my folder here. Inside my folder, let's move out of this and let's create a folder called face detection app. So face detection app. Right, then I'll move inside my face detection app. Perfect. So there's nothing here. So I'm first of all going to create my first file, app.py. That is all that we need, right? Perfect. So what we need for building this app is that first of all we need Streamlit itself as well as OpenCV. So in case you don't have it, just go with pip install Streamlit and then OpenCV. So it's going to be OpenCV Python. I don't know whether it is Python, OpenCV, something like this. Yeah. So just these are the two main requirements to help us with it, right? Very, very interesting. Then of course we will need Pillow. So let's see how to work on this. So I'll start open with Sublime, this particular plate that we have so far. So we'll be start building it. So there are some stuff that we need to help us with the face detection. We'll be using the Hack Cascade XML files, which is going to be, I'll show the link to where you can get it from right below so that you can actually check it out. So these are the things that you also need to help us with that. So let's start building. So this inside our app, we will just go with our core packages. It's going to be Streamlit. It's going to be import Streamlit as st. That's the first thing. Then we also need to import the other stuff. So import CV2. Then you also need to import Pillow to help us with loading our image. So these are the main stuff that you'll be working with, right? So CV2, Streamlit, and then you also be using Pillow. So these are the stuff you'll be going. So let's go with from Pillow, which is by default on Python. We are importing image. Then we're also importing image enhance, or we can just go with normal enhance, right? Image filter, image enhance. So image enhance. These are the two main stuff you'll be using. Then also going to import NumPy to help us convert our images into NumPy arrays as NP. Then we may also need to import OS to help us with loading our file, right? Opening the file. These are the basic stuff you need for app. Perfect. So let's work on creating our main function. Going to be main. Then this is going to go with a simple dot string of what the app has to do. So it's going to be face detection app, right? Something very simple. Then we just go with st.title as we always do, face detection app, then st.test build with Streamlit and OpenCV, right? These are the main stuff that we are going to build our app. Very interesting. That is all that we need. So let's close it up with our if main. So everything is going to be between this, right? Perfect. So this, the next thing we'll be doing is that first of all we're going to create a place, the activity that you want to do. So let's call it as activities. You have just two activities. You have our detection and then we have our about, right? You can just go without the about. Then I'm going to select it. So it's going to be my choice, which is going to be st.sidebar.select box. Then I'm passing the particular stuff I want to do, right? Which is going to be, say, select activity. Then I'm passing my activities, right? These are the two main stuff that I'll be doing. Then I'm using a normal if condition. So if my choice is equal to detection, then go with st.subheader face detection, right? Something like that. Then the next one is going to be else if my choice is equal to about. It's going to be for the about. So st.subheader about. That's what I will be using, right? Perfect. So we have built something very simple. So we need to be able to receive our image, right? Receive the image. So we'll be using the normal file upload to help us with that. So I'm just going to go to here, then create an image file. It's going to be st.file upload, file uploader. Then the file uploader is going to take two main arguments, the text itself, so let's call it as upload image. Then the type of file that I want to accept. So I'm going to restrict it to certain type of file. So it's going to take JPG. Then it's going to take PNG. Then the last one is going to be the other format of the JPEG. Right? These are the three main files we'll be accepting. You can add as many as you wish, right? So perfect. That is all. So you have been able to receive our image. So let's go on with something and create something like this. Let's save it. Let's see what you have done so far. So I just come back here. back here, then let's run our app. So our app is there, so we now can run it with pip-env run Streamlit run, then app. So in case you're not working with a virtual environment, I'm working with a virtual environment, that is why I am using pip-env, right? But I can go without it, right? It's going to open with our default browser. So whilst it's opening, we'll be working on the har cascade files, right? So I just copy those files here. I'll come back inside my folder here, then I'll paste in my folder, right? So this is a folder with all the cascade files, so we can just get it from the OpenCV GitHub page. So this is it. So it will be in the link below so that I can check. So this for the eye, for the front face, for the full body, for the small. There are several of them, right? So you can just Google it and then you can get it and use it. That's what we're trying to use to help us detect our face. So let's come back to what we have done so far. So I just open with my browser, the almighty Chrome. So copy link and then let's open it inside Chrome. So this is the old one. So this one goes off. Then let's paste in the new one. So I'll paste it here. Let's see what you have done so far. Perfect. So perfect. So we have our face detection app, and you can see that we have our sidebar for detection, and then about. Everything is working as expected. If I go to the about, it is working as expected. Perfect. So now let's see how to work with it. So we have been able to get a drop option to drag and drop to upload a file. Now let's see how to work with it, right? To actually add a feature that you want to it. So I'll just position everything that I have well. So let's start working. So the first thing that we need is that we have been able to receive our image, right? Now we have to make sure that if there is no image, it's not going to give us any wrong stuff. So I'm just going to come back down here and say that if the image file, right, is not none, if the image file is not none, then I want you to do whatever I want to do. So I'm going to be processing our image. So first of all, we'll be creating a simple function to help us with this. So I'll just go with pass, then come back to the top of my file and create a simple function to load our images, right? So whatever image is going to be there, be using that particular function to load it. You can go without it, but it's better you work with it. So let's create a simple function to load the image. Then I'll pass in my image here. Then I'll just come back to create a simple variable called image. Now I'll use image.open. I'll pass in my image here. Then I'll return it. So return our image. Something very simple, right? So that's something very simple. Now I can also use the st.cache, which is a very nice function to help us, the creator function. So this function will be used to load our image. I'll just come back to this place. Then I'll use that same thing to load our images, whatever image that you will be dropping there, right? So that is something very basic that you'll be doing. So I can just come back to the same place and then use that particular function, or I can go without the particular function and go with a simple image. So that was our image. Then I'll just use image itself from pillow to open. Now open the particular image, right? So let's go to that image file. Now in case I want to show this particular image, I'll just go with st.test. Let's go to that original image, then go with st.image. Now pass in the image that I have open, called our image file. So if I save it now, let's go with always run. It's going to work perfectly. Now let's drop in some image. So I just come back and then copy an image. So let's use a simple image like Mike Sibo, right? If I paste this image here, it's going to upload it perfect. So it's showing the image here, right? Very, very nice. So you can actually scale the image in case you want. So we have seen that it's working well. So this is one of the founders of Twitch, right? Mike Sibo. Perfect. Now let's move on to the next stuff that we can also do. So we have been able to receive our image. Now let's work on adding some enhancement to our image, right? So I'm just going to come back down here, then create an option in which I can add enhancement to our image. So now let's work on it. So I'm just going to come back down here and then create a list called enhance type, right? A different type of enhancement. Go with st.sidebar.select, or let's use radio. Now pass in the various things I want to do with the enhancement, right? So I'm just going to call it as enhance type. Then I'll pass in my option. So it can be a list, it can be an array or a list or a tuple, but let's go with a simple list. So this is going to be something like this. So first of all, we're going to go with our original. Then you move on to something like, let's say, black and white. You can call it grayscale. So grayscale. Then the next one is going to be for contrast. Then the next is going to be for brightness. Then the last one is going to be for blurring. You can add as many as you wish, right? The power is yours. So blurring, right? That is all. So these are the basic stuff that you'll be using for our stuff. Now, since you have been able to receive it, the next thing is that you will just go back here, then create a way of modifying whatever the person select, right? So that is a basic idea. So be telling them that if the enhancement type is equal to original, then bring out the original image, right? That is the basic idea. So let's make it as the original as the default. So I'm just going to say that if the enhancement is equal to my grayscale, use a grayscale, which is going to be the particular grayscale that you want to use. So we'll be using OpenCV to help us with working with the grayscale, the blurring, and all of those stuff. So I'm just going to first of all create something like image, right? A variable called image, new image. Then when I pass in that image, for us to be able to see it work or manipulate it, we have to make sure that we are not just open. If you open this particular stuff here, it's going to open well, but it's going to be in a format of a byte IO, right? So let's check it and see. So if I save it and then let's come back, let's go with pass, something like that. You work on it later. So we'll come back here. Here's the image. In case I want to check for the type of what has been opened, with let's say st.write, the type of the image open, our image is going to give us as, see, there's a particular format that has been opened, right? But we need to be able to convert it to a format that we can actually manipulate it, right? So that's why we'll be using the numpy. So I'll come back to this place here, this same place that I have. Then I'll use numpy .array. I'm using numpy array. Then I'll pass in my image, the image that I have. Then I'll actually modify it. So first of all, I'll convert it to RGB. Then after converting to RGB, I'll be able to do any conversion that I want to do, right? So our image, which is referring to the particular image here, open, the one open, then I'll just convert it to RGB. So RGB, red, green, blue. That is the simple stuff. So I've converted that particular stuff, right? Perfect. So if I go with st.write with new image and I save it, let's come back here. Let's go back to the sidebar. So we have all of the enhancement type there. If I go to the grayscale and I come back and I check it from here, apologies for that. Come back, you see that now it has given to us in the format of a number, right? So this is an array, right? All the pixels and all of those stuff. So this is what we're trying to manipulate to bring about the various stuff there. So that is very, very important and essential for us to know. Perfect. So the next thing is that we will be converting them into a grayscale. So how do we do that? So we're using OpenCV to help us. So I'm just going to go create a variable called mg. Then I'll just go with CV2. So CV2 is OpenCV 2. Then I'll just go with convert CV2 to CV2, right? CV2 color. Then I'll pass in my new image. Then I'll pass in the next variable. So the next variable can be 0. If I go with 0, it's going to print a totally different stuff. So let's try that one. Go with st.image. Pass in my image here. If I save it and we run it again, you can see that now it's going to be totally. So 0 means original, right? So 0 is original. If I change this one from this to 1, it's going to convert it to grayscale. So let's run it again. Hopefully it's able to identify it. So that it's giving us a different image. If I go with -1, it's not giving us an error. So we have to make sure. So this particular value here is usually very important, right? You can just go without it. We can just make it as 1 or 0, right? But let's keep it as 1. Then later we're going to convert the entire stuff to grayscale. So how do I do that? I just go create another variable called image, then cv2.cv use Gaussian to help us with our blurring. In case you want to blur, you just use Gaussian. In case you want to convert it to grayscale, just use another option, right? So I'm going to go with the same thing that I have above here, this same thing here. I'll copy this one here. let me expand it so that you'll be able to see what I'm doing. And I'm passing in the image above into the next image, and I'm going to modify it. So I'm going to put cv2 dot the particular stuff I want. So I'm going to convert it from red, green, blue to gray, right? That is the basic idea. So we converted it here, but we are going to convert it back again to a different color. So I'm just going to go with color. This all are in capital, then B for blue, green, red, then to the inverted format, which is gray, right? So that's what we are converting it to. So this is very, very important to convert it to this particular option. That is all. So if I save it now, I can actually call this one as gray. Then we can bring the gray out. So let's call it as gray. So I save it and I come back here. So now we have our value there. Now it has converted to gray for us. Very, very interesting. Let's use a simple or smaller image. So I just come back to here and then we use a smaller image. So the basic idea is that we just created a point to upload an image, right? So let's use a simple image, which is, let's use myself anyway. Okay, something smaller, perfect. And this is the format, the type that's open. Then I converted it to an array to be able to manipulate them, right? That is the next step. Then I convert it to grayscale using this particular option of the grayscale. If I go to the original, it's going to work and give us only the original, right? Perfect. Now let's see the next step we can do. So we have seen how the app is working. So let's see how to work with the rest. So I'll expand it and then we work on the rest. So I just take off this. You don't need that one again. And then the type, we take off this one. Perfect. So we are done with it. So let's add the rest. So this, we have work on the grayscale. Now let's see how to work on the contrast and then the rest. So I'll just come back down here. Go with if my enhancement type is equal to contrast. Then use a contrast. So be working on the contrast. With working with the contrast, you'll be using a slider and then the image enhance option. So it's going to be, let's call this C rate for the contrast rate. Then I'll pass in my st.sidebar.slider. Then I'll pass in contrast. So contrast. And I'll pass in the particular value that I want to use to make my contrast, right? So the basic values that I'll be using is that I'll be using, let's say 0.5 to 3.5. Right, that's going to be for my contrast rate, right? To help us, then I'll just go create another variable called enhancer, which is going to take my image enhance dot contrast, and I'll pass in the value, the rate, right, that I want to do. But first of all, I'll pass in the image itself. Then later on, I can do my enhancement. So let's call this image output. Now pass in the enhancer variable dot enhance. Then I'll pass in my rate. It's going to be C rate. Perfect. That's all. So let's bring this on out. st.image. My image output. So let's save it and let's check what we have done so far. If I come back to the contrast, so now it's going to show the sidebar, right? Perfect. But it's giving us an error here. So the error is contrast is not defined. So let's see the mistake we made somewhere. So it is contrast. Oh, see, it's supposed to be dot contrast. Perfect. So now it's working, right? So you can see that it's showing us the contrast. I can actually slide up all the way here. Perfect, right? So everything is working as expected. So we have been able to see how to work with the grayscale, the contrast. So the next thing is that to work on the brightness. So the brightness is also going to be the same thing. The only difference for the brightness is that you will be changing here to brightness. That is all. So I'll copy that one here. I'll repeat the same thing. Change this one, and then this one to brightness. That is all, right? And if I come back and I save it, so it's also going to work perfectly. So let's check it. So there's the brightness. So that it just changed totally, right? So that is how to work with the brightness. Perfect, right? I'm looking different. So something very simple. So we have been able to work on these stuff. So we have worked on a grayscale, the contrast, and then the brightness. So the next thing that you'll be working on is that you'll be working on the blurring, right? To work on the blurring, you can also use the same OpenCV stuff that we did here. So I just copy the same thing here. They're just doing copy and paste. Then I'll just paste it here, but change this one from blurring, from grayscale to blurring. Then instead of using this particular option, right, I'll be using Gaussian. So I'll take off all of this and paste in the Gaussian blur. I don't know how to pronounce it. Then I'll pass in my parameters. So I'll pass in the image above. Then I'll just pass in the next tuple, which are dimensions, right? Then I'll pass in the rate. Let's go to the blur rate. Blur rate. So let's create the blur rate. So I'll use the same thing that we did above here to create the blur rate. I'll copy this one here. We can even go without the blur rate. So any of them is going to work, right? Can even go without the blur rate. It's still going to work anyway, but let's add it to make it look nice. So let's go to C rate. Blur rate. Perfect. So I can just put in a number. So let's give it 0 and 3, just like that, like above. Then now I can bring this one out as my st.image, my blur image. So let's call this one as blur image. Perfect. So we have been able to do some interesting stuff, right? So everything is working as expected. Very cool. So let's try it out. So I come back to the blurring. We have our parameters. Hopefully it's giving us an error. Blur rate is not defined. See what I did. So let's save it here. Detected, so that the blur is coming, right? So we have been able to work with the basic aspect of the manipulation. Now let's move on to the next option of working for the phase detection, right? So that is going to be very simple. So this is all. Then let's go with else if. Else for the original st.image. I'll paste in our image. Then let's give it a simple width of, let's see, 300, right? So that's going to be for the original, right? So by default it's going to be this particular image for the original image, right? So if I come back here, so that it is always going to be here, because that is original, right? But so we are done with the image manipulation. Now let's work on the faces. So how do we work on the faces? So it's going to be very simple. So to save our time, I'll copy the code, the functions for working on it. No, let's code one, right? So I'll just come back to the same place here. I'll just come back down here. So this is the same place as our sidebar, right? Then now let's call this one as for the face detection. So this is going to be something very simple. So the first thing that we'll be doing is I'm just going to go with my face. Let's call it as tags that we want to do with the faces. So we can just get the faces. Can just get the smiles. Can just get, let's say, the eyes. Can just get something like can eyes. And then the last one is going to be cartoon eyes. Right, so these are the basic stuff you'll be doing. Then I'll just use a simple sidebar. So let's call it as my feature choices. Feature choices. And I'll go with this particular option. So we can make it feature choices or can make it face choices, anyhow you want it to be. Then I'll go with st.sidebar.select box. Now pass in my find features. Now pass in my tags there. Perfect. That's something very simple, right? So I can just go with if st.button, then this is going to be my process button to process the entire stuff. Then I'll just go with the various options. So if my feature choices is equal to face, then work on that, right? Give me the various stuff. So I'll be pasting in the functions to help us. Let's go with pass, then do the rest for the remaining. So let's save it and see what you have done. So we have our faces option here. So you see we have face, eyes, smile, can eyes, and then cartoon eyes. So I'll come back to the top of my file. Then we'll be using her cascade to help us with that. So I'll just come back here and create a simple function to help us work with our face detection. So the function is going to be very simple. So I'll just come back and create my face cascade variable. which is going to be my cv2 dot my cascade. This is a function that comes with cv2 cascade classifier, and I'll pass in the particular stuff I want to use, right? So this, I'll be going into this particular folder here, my fr rec, then I'll pick this ones here. So it's going to be my f rec. You can just name it anyhow you want it to be. Then I'll go with my cascade frontal face. My god, it's too long. .sml, right? So this is what you are putting there, this name. So cascade frontal face default, right? So that's what we'll be using for our face stuff. Perfect. Then I'll create a simple function to help us load it. So let's go to find, let's make it detect faces. So this is a simple function. So this function is going to take our image, the image that the person is going to supply. Then what is it going to do? First of all, we just using the same thing, new image, you convert it to numpy array, and I'll pass in my image, convert it to RGB dot convert to RGB. Perfect. That is the first step, right? We are converting it to RGB. Then the next step is that we'll be using image cv2 dot to open it, cv2 color. I'll open my new image as 1. Perfect. Then I'll convert it to grayscale, just like above, which is going to be, let's copy that one because it's the same code. So this was the grayscale. I'll copy this one here for this one, right? Perfect. The same thing. We have converted to grayscale. Now for us to detect the images, detect the faces, the basic stuff is that we're using faces, storing everything inside faces. Then use a face cascade dot detect, because it's a classifier, dot detect multi scale, said multi scale, right? Then I'll pass in my gray, then the particular dimensions I want to be. So this is going to be 1.1. These are all values, you can just change them as you wish, right? Perfect. Something very simple. So that is also detect multi-scale from the face cascade classifier. Then now it's going to find all the faces there, then I can loop through it and draw a rectangle. So let's draw a rectangle. So draw rectangle. So how do we draw the rectangle? It's going to be for, I'll pass in my value s, y, w, h. For these are my values. Now I'll just loop through it, right? So in my faces, do some stuff. So I'm going to create cv2.rectangle. I'll pass in my image. The image is coming from this particular image here. I'll pass in my value, which is going to be s and then y for the right and left. Then I'll just pass in the next one, which is going to be my s plus y plus w, rather. S plus the width, then y plus the height. Y plus the height. I don't know whether I can see that I'm tired. Anyway, let's move on. Then I'll use a normal pixel, which is 25500. These are just numpy stuff. So there's a whole, I'm sure there's a lot of videos on YouTube that shows you how to work with OpenCV. So you can just watch them to get more ideas. Then you can just work on it. Then I'm going to return some stuff. So what am I returning? So I'll first of all return my image and then my faces, right? Okay, so that is something, a simple function that I've created. So I can just use the st.cache to help us with that, or go without it. So something very simple. Let's see this function at work. Let's come back down here to where our stuff is. Then I'll just pass in, let's go to result image, and then the results of the face. Remember that our function is returning not just the image, right? Our function is returning the image and the faces, right? So that is the basic idea. That's why we are putting it inside. So we are putting them into two variables, right? Perfect. So that is it. Then I'm just going to go with my detect faces and pass in my image, the image that we have. Then finally, I can just go with my st.image. Now return my result image. Right, perfect. Then I can just come back and just go st.success, put in something like found. There's a number of faces. Dot format my result face. So let's save it and see what you have done so far. So if I come back here, so this is it. So let's choose the faces that we have, faces, and then now we can process it. So let's process it. Hopefully it's going to work. Perfect. It found this. So this is it that's giving us, it was able to find my eyes, not my face. And then you can see that this was in an array, but you have to make sure that you convert it as one, right? Because that is how it is seeing it. So I just go with len, then I'll pass it here. So just count it as a symbol, singlet. So if I press it again, I'm going to find a face, which is in this case my eye. Going to be only found one face, right? So I can actually change the image. Let's try it with something different. So let's try it with this, which is a lot of images, faces. We are pushing it to the limit. Then let's go back to the faces option, process it, and let's see whether to be able to identify the faces. Perfect. So it's able to identify the faces, counted, found 13 faces, right? So that is something very basic that we have built with our face detection app. So I'll be working on the rest, which is going to be for the smiles, the eyes, the can eyes, and then the cartoon eyes. So I'll paste in the code and explain it, right? Because the same idea, right? So let's go back to the top of my file and then paste in the code. I'll come back here and then let's paste in the code. So something very simple. So what we are doing is that we just copy the same thing that we did above here is what we are trying to repeat for this one. But in this case, the first thing is that we are just creating a cascade, right? With the cascade classifier from this particular folder. So we have one for eye, one for frontal face, one for full body, one for smile. And we have created one for the eyes, the same thing, one for the face, one for the smile. So the same way we saw how the face work, the same way we are doing it, but instead of using faces here, right, in case we are working on eyes, we just change this particular option to use this one. In case we are using smile, we use the same thing. So that's what we did for this one. So we just change the eyes, the same thing for here, right? We just change the smile, right? This is the same thing that we are doing. And now for the cartoon eyes, this is a whole new stuff, a whole video that you have to explain it all, but it's the same thing that we did above. But what you are doing is that we are using 3 steps. You are first of all going to blur them and use an adaptive threshold to help with the edges. Then you're going to use bilateral filter to filter them. Then you're going to convert it as bitwise to make it cartoonized. That is the basic idea. So the function will be below, and there are a lot of videos on YouTube to help us with that. Then for the canines, we did the same thing that we did above, but we are using Gaussian blur and we are using Canny to help us with the canines. Something very simple, something very basic. Now let's come back down here and add these particular functions here, right, for that. So it's going to be almost the same repetition. It's going to be if my feature choice is going to be smiles, right, then I'll just do the same thing above, right? So I'll just copy the code and paste it so that we don't repeat ourselves over and over again. So let's work on it. So the same thing that you'll be doing, so we're repeating the same thing above here, right? The same thing for the rest. So I just copy and paste it here. So what you are doing that you are just, if it's faces, use the detect smile. That is if it's smiles. If it's eyes, use the detect eyes. If it's cartoonized, use the cartoonized image. And then for the cartoonized image, that is something very basic and something very simple. So I save it and I come back here. Now let's come back to this place. Now you can see that we have all of them here. So I can check for the cartoonized, click on process. Then it's going to process our image for us, right? That means that our app is working. So in a nutshell, the basic idea for building this app is that first of all, you just need to import your core packages, and we are using CV2 to help us with our manipulation, then Pillow to help us with our image, and then NumPy to convert our images to NumPy arrays in order for us to manipulate it. Then we created a variable of all the har cascade files. Then we created individual functions to detect our faces, and then another function to detect our eyes, another function to detect the smiles, another function to cartoonize our stuff, and to canonize, right? Perfect. Then we created our main function with 2 different activities. Then created a simple option of uploading our file with a specific type of file that we want to receive. Then we just applied our enhancement to them, right? So these are simple enhancement we applied using Pillow. Then later on we work on our choices. So thank you for watching this tutorial. In case you have any question or contribution, you can just put it inside the comment section below. And apologies for rushing at the end, because it's the same code, right? That's why I just copied and pasted. So thank you for watching, and in case you are not subscribed to this channel, you can subscribe and check the link below for some interesting materials to help you master machine learning and then Python. Thank you. See you in the next session. Stay blessed.